My name's Nicole. I'm 25. I'm from Evansville, Indiana. The first time I drank, I was 12 or 13. And then when I got into high school, I started smoking pot and experimenting with some other drugs, but my drug addiction didn't really take off until I was in college. And that's when everything started to spiral out of control. I think, at a young age, I always felt insecure and less than, and drugs and alcohol gave me courage. It took away that fear. It made me funnier. It made me more confident. I had more fun. I laughed harder. Just made everything better at first. It started to spiral out of control, when drinking and drugs started to become a necessity. It was no longer a luxury. I needed to get high or get drunk every day because I didn't like the way I felt when I wasn't high or drunk. My drug of choice was opiates and heroin. Not initially, it wasn't those two things at first. I just started off drinking and smoking pot, but eventually it led to that. I started to do things I never said I would do. I didn't grow up thinking I would do heroin. I grew up in a good home. My mom and dad are still together. We had dinner every night. We went to church on Sundays. I grew up in the all-American home. I had every opportunity growing up to succeed, and I just chose to take a different path. My family, I grew up, my family is very close. I have a very large family, and I was close with all of them. We spent every holiday together, every birthday, and it devastated my mom and dad, because that's what the thing with addiction is. You can't love somebody enough to want them to get clean or want them to get sober. That's not enough to keep an addict or an alcoholic clean and sober. And I hated myself watching what I was doing to my family, but at the same time I couldn't stop. And I think one of the hardest things for me, like when I look back on what my addiction has done, is my dad and I are very close, and I've seen my dad cry. Like, I can count on one hand the number of times I've seen him cry. And, two of them have been when a family member's passed away, and the other times have been when I was going to treatment, because this wasn't my first time trying to get clean and sober, but it, God willing, will be my last. This is my third time trying to get clean. The first time I tried was when I was 21, and I'm 25 now. So off and on, I've been trying to get clean for almost 5 years. I think I had a lot of reservations about what sobriety meant, and I was really young when I first tried. I was only 21, and I was barely at the legal drinking age, and when I went to treatment, they were telling me, you'll never be able to drink or do drugs recreationally, and I was like, that's not true, so I always had some reservations about drinking, I think. I thought for a long time, like, if I could just stay off of drugs, that I could drink how I wanted to, and drinking has always led me back to drugs. I've been clean and sober for 10 months now. I'm getting ready to move out of the treatment center that I'm in, into the real world, and I'm super excited. I'm super nervous because the last 10 months I've been in a safe environment, which has been exactly what I needed. I've been held accountable for what I do, and now it's time for me to move on to the next phase of this journey and kind of spread my wings, so to speak. But I know that I can do it. I have the tools to do it. I have good support. And, I think the biggest thing for me now is that I want to stay clean and sober, as opposed to before. I wanted to want it because my mom and dad wanted it for me, or my friends wanted it for me. But, this time I want it for myself. My goal for 6 months from now is to still be clean and sober. That's the main thing, because if I don't have that, I don't have anything. And then, to be independent, to be self-sufficient, to be taking care of myself and being the person that I always knew I could be and wanted to be, but was just incapable of becoming because of drugs, My advice would be to just do it, even when it's not fun, even when it's hard. Just do it, just keep pushing through and it will get better. And it's only one day at a time, because when I start thinking about the future and where I could have been or where I should be, it starts messing with my head. And, but if I just stay in today, then it doesn't seem so bad, and this disease is deadly. I had a friend back home pass away 2 weeks ago, directly because of this disease, and she was young. She was only 29, and she had a little girl, and, she had her whole life ahead of her. And, now she doesn't get a second chance. And I think if you're sitting in treatment, or if you're in a halfway house or whatever, you've been given a second chance to succeed. And I know that I've been given a second chance and a third chance, and I don't want to lose it. I don't think there's a cure for addiction, but I definitely think there's a solution. And I think, if you listen to people that have been through this kind of thing, and take suggestions from people who have some clean time, the sky's the limit. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for all the support that I've got from my family, especially my mom and dad. They are my two biggest fans, and I'm so grateful for that. They've never given up on me, and they believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And I'm just really grateful for that, and all the friends that I have that have supported me. Thank you guys.